Everybody, welcome to the show. Thanks for watching The Spirit of Vinyl. My name's Craig. How y'all doing this week? Hope you guys are all doing well. Well, this week I want to talk to you about this record right here. Tygers of Tang, Spellbound. 1981. Obviously, Japanese press. It's got a nice thick obi on there. I've got this listed as VG Plus all the way around. This record came with, of course, it has the Japanese inner with it, and it also has an American lyric sheet. It's got the lyrics right there. On the back of that one is pictures of the band, and the record itself is, VG Plus also. Let me get this thing out of here. Sorry, guys. Usually I do that ahead of time. It's got this cool MCA rainbow levels on there, So, this album came up. I've had it for a while. This is one of the ones I found in the dumpster. One of the dumpster find records. Let's see here. You see there's his name written in there. A lot of his had that on there. Almost all of them have that written in there. This is a really good album. It's the first one. It's their second record, but it's the first one with John Sykes in there. And I don't know if this is the first time we see John Sykes. We know John Sykes of like Whitesnake and Blue Murder and things like that. John Sykes, and if you're a hard rock metal fan, you know who John Sykes is. Whether this is the introduction to John Sykes, I'm not sure on that, but it is the first time he was in this band. Like I said, this is their second album overall, and they put it out 6 months after their debut. This copy here, if you wanted to buy a copy like this, it costs you between $40 and $80, depending on condition. This is not anything I would ever have bought. We talk about the spirit of vinyl here. Tygers of Tang were one of those bands that you'd hear about. I was in high school. This album came out in 81. I graduated in 1987. So the Tygers of Tang were one of those bands that were kind of around, and it was always that older dude that we all knew. We all knew that guy who was in his early 20s or whatever. And at that point in time, they talk about the Tygers of Tang or Montrose and stuff like that. And we weren't paying attention because we're listening to Dio and Black Sabbath and Ozzy and Kiss and whatever, We're not going back and finding some band we'd never heard of or whatever, no matter how good somebody said they were at the time, especially a guy who was still hanging out with high school kids in his mid-20s or whatever. He was just that guy. We all had that guy. You're my age. You all knew a guy like that. And he was into music that was beforehand, And the guy who would tell you about Tygers of Tang was also the guy who still listened to Styx and Journey and stuff like that, when we were listening to 80s metal. But overall, this is a fucking great album. I never would have bought it. It was found. This one and their debut album is also in there. Was in that find that I'd found in the dumpster, both in very good condition. But this album is fucking killer. I mean, I would definitely give this between, 4.5 and 5 stars. And in my opinion, this band should have been way bigger than they were. They got that new wave of British heavy metal sound, somewhere between like early Def Leppard, a little bit of Iron Maiden with some Saxon mixed in together. They kind of have that sound. So if you're unfamiliar with this band, which I'm not sure if anybody who listens to 80s rock or metal is unfamiliar with the band. I knew who this band was, but I was not familiar with their music. So when those albums were found, I knew exactly who they were. Like, okay, I'm keeping these, give them a listen later or whatever. And I've listened to these a few times, and they're great. And I think they should have been a way bigger band. They should have been right up there with the Iron Maidens and Saxons and of that era and where they were from. And John Sykes' early work, I mean, he's a fucking killer guitar player. And this has got good, hard driving songs. And the album's in really good shape. It really is. There's no pops or skips or anything else. It's the thing I've learned, back in the day, records were just things we played music on, and we weren't really too worried about keeping them in the greatest condition. And you guys know that with me from my teenage ones, showing you the pictures of my Kiss albums with the holes in them and stuff like that. Mike who owned this record collection before me must have taken really good care of his records. Like I said, when I found them, they were all wrapped in plastic and inner sleeves, and everything is in very good plus to near mint condition. And which is nice because now I can listen to this Tygers of Pang Tang album that's 40 some plus years old, and it still sounds as good as the day it was. So, I mean, if you don't have it and you like this style of music, go ahead and pick it up. It's going to cost you $40 at a minimum, $80 for one in the shape that like I have. This one also does have a misprint. B2 and 3, or B2 on side B, songs 2 and 4 are switched on the label. The sleeve is incorrect. So when you're looking at the sleeve, it tells you the order of the songs, and they're incorrect, but the label on the record is the correct version of that. I think they all have that from what I was seeing. It was just some sort of mispress or whatever. But yeah, go ahead, pick it up. Tygers of Pang Tang. Fucking great album. 5 stars. It really is 5 stars. So, all right. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it, and we'll talk to y'all later.